Ever since I found out I could talk to my grandpa in the afterlife through a psychic medium, I realized he has so many nuggets of wisdom to share with me, which I hope to share with you guys. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe down below. If you have any questions for Grandpa Luan, comment below and they might be featured in our next video. So thanks again for watching, and I hope you enjoy. Hello again.
Hello, Grandpa Luan is back.
Hey, another good topic to talk about today. It's going to be education and healthcare, because a lot of people are saying how both of it sucks in the States right now.
Oh.
So, yeah, so just kind of want to see, obviously, it changes every year or every couple of years. So I just kind of want to see what education looks like in the future. Is it going to be more virtual, or is it also going to be more affordable? And I'm talking specifically, I guess, in America, because other countries do have affordable education.
Yes. So there's a lot of streamlining that can happen to make the educational system and the medical system, but let's start with education, better and more efficient and more cost efficient, and just better for the students and the teachers. So technology is going to play, and is already playing, a very big part in expanding the idea of, like, I guess, the possibilities of education and healthcare. People are realizing that, it's sometimes a lot more efficient, cost-saving, and convenient for people to access these services from the comfort of their own home, because, back in the day, they didn't have webcams that you could just pop on your phone and, people could do whole curriculums or do entire medical intakes and stuff online now. So that is going to be a huge burgeoning part of industry in the next 10 years. Within the next 10 years. It's already happening, but it's going to really blow up. The connectivity, even having some schools experimenting with part-time in school, part-time at home, to give them, basically to test out the experience of, like, having them come in for a few days in class and then having them learn from home for a few days. Some parents will not like that very much because they want to go to work and they want their kid to be taken care of, but some parents will. And this might be more rolled out, let's say, in magnet schools or whatever. But where this is actually going to really make a difference is internationally, in developing countries that can't afford to have facilities for learning. More thriving companies can donate technology and develop cheap and effective technology for children to learn from American teachers or people, European teachers, remotely. So they don't have to go to the United States to have education from a country they want to have education from. And the only reason I'm saying this, I'm not saying this because the United States is superior. Like, we really lack in education and health in a lot of ways, but a lot of people from developing countries do want to come to the United States for the opportunity and for the security and the safety. So, but being able to bring teachers via the internet to classrooms, to expose them to different cultures, to expose them to different types of curriculums, and for them to not have to fund building these large institutions that can take up need a lot of money and maintenance and all that stuff. That's something I'm seeing from him. He's showing me will start being experimented with more and more. And then, of course, in the healthcare, it's already happening. I work for a telehealth company as my day job as a designer, as a digital designer. So I'm designing these interfaces for people to get healthcare remotely. So Seeing
That'd be so
firsthand.
nice. I wish I had Teledoc because
Yeah.
some few companies offer that to their employees, where you just like pretty much Skype with your doctor and be like, "This is what I have," and they're like, "Oh, here, I'll just throw a prescription in or whatever." Instead of having to make the phone call, take off work, drive to work. I mean, drive to and to the doctors, then drive back to work, and then it's just
Oh,
I wish I had that.
yeah, it's and it's a whole like it's patient care management, patient management, it's provider management, like doctor management, administrator management. So all aspects of the care process are managed digitally through this, let's say, the platform that I work with. But there's going to be more opportunities for that in the future, and it's very desperately needed. And that's why it's like the next, and this is not from Grandpa Juan, this is just from something my husband and I read about these health, education, and some finance, I think, being some of the top industries where new startups are going to be like blowing up in. It's like last bubble, it was like transportation and like services, like food services, all that stuff. So the next generation is going to be more in those drier areas, things that we really need that can be enhanced by technology.
Awesome. Speaking of medical stuff, what medical advancements do you see in the future? Like, for example, let's say cancer or like Huntington's disease is a pretty brutal one. They're still trying to find a cure. I have a friend that works for them. And so, is there going to be, for something that's kind of, I don't want to call it deadly, but will there be a cure, or is it going to be, will they be like pills that are invented that are like magic pills, or they're going to be more like juices that are going to be like magic cleansing juices? I don't know. It's like for these things that, where there's no cure, or, what is the future for that? What does it look like for them?
Great set of questions. So what he started showing me right away was wearable technology. So things like activity monitors, Apple Watches, the Samsung has their own gear, I think, or something like that, and various other types of wearable tech. They already have a lot of Bluetooth health monitoring services, stethoscopes, blood pressure monitors, all that stuff. But wearable tech will become so advanced, and it already is starting to be, where doctors can not only monitor the condition so that they can have basically it's going to become data-driven treatments. So right now, when you go to the doctor, it's really annoying because you're like, I'm telling you, I have these symptoms, and they're like, okay, when was it? Oh, I think it was like 3 months. And you have to use your own memory or like some scratch notes you wrote down or typed in your phone, and trying to demonstrate to the doctor that you're like authentically noticing a pattern that they could take seriously. So the next generation of treatment especially for severe illnesses like MS, Huntington's, Parkinson's, and you can go on and on, cancer even, will be using wearable tech to monitor and track various functionality in the body. It'll have something that can test levels. And at first, the technology might start off a little bulky, especially for the stuff that handles things that require testing chemical levels in the blood tests in general. But they'll also have meters. So basically, a patient can have a suite of devices in their home that is paid for through insurance or through a government subsidy that will allow them to be their own, like they will have the power of care is in their hands. So the doctors can not only monitor them regularly and remotely, but also have very detailed, highly specific, basically analytics on the workings of the body. And this will not only help to provide more accurate treatments and dispense treatment through these devices as well, but also to inform the researchers that are trying to create cures for this, to find anomalies and patterns, putting this information together, collecting them in mass, and being able to see patterns in the data that can allow them to treat diseases better to find these cures. So it really, technology is a bane of our existence in some ways, but also it's a burgeoning opportunity for growth. But it's all about how you use it. So that's going to become a thing.
Wow. Okay. That's so awesome.
Some 20, 30 years, 10 years, 10 to 30 years, especially in the next few years, you're going to start to really see some big breakthroughs in wearable tech and these types of things tying in with telehealth, telemedicine. So that's exciting.
Yeah, no, I did not expect that. Can cancer or like these grave illnesses, can they be prevented? Because some of them are genetics. For example, Huntington's, you get tested, you have the gene, it's positive. So it's kind of like I call it an ultimatum, but kind of like a you're screwed type of diagnosis. But so, does it happen? Can it be prevented? Does it happen to people with poor diets or people who are just unlucky? Because why do sometimes like the perfectly healthy people get cancer or, diseases?
Totally. So one of the first things he said is gene therapy. And they already have this technology and they use it in some ways, but it's not like widespread yet. And this is the kind of stuff of like sci-fi movies that freaks people out when they start messing with our DNA. Mm-hmm. But they already know how to do this and they're developing it further, how to replace faulty genes, faulty areas in the DNA, while basically before the fetus is gestated in the womb, they can do gene therapy. And this is something that's relatively new. It's been studied for a long time, but it's he's showing me it's going to really take off in the future. And so we'll be able to extract faulty genes, replace them, repair them, even in some cases in the future.
So it's like having surgery before, like when the baby's like
the body, when it's still on a cellular level, like they can go into the DNA and they can and you may have seen some like sci-fi stuff, even people have watching this about picking eye colors, hair colors, whatever. Like they can do that too. So that'll be kind of the weirder side of it, where it's like really like people designing fetuses. But we will be able to catch these things early, and if it's not gene therapy, they also will be able to tell the parents, like, look, and this is there's two edges, a double edge. This is two sides of the coin here. So the advantage of being able to tell the parents, like, look, your baby has the gene for Huntington's disease, and but because we know right now, we can maybe prevent it from manifesting. We can help it so that we can give treatment throughout the course of a life so that it never gets past a certain point. And then the flip side of that is like the anxiety of someone knowing, like telling their kid that they have some disease, like what does that do mentally? And does that still set it off? Because so there has to be some sort of protocols where like it doesn't cause like this chain reaction of negative thought about, oh, I'm diseased, I have a problem. So there has to be some things to be worked out there, but that's kind of the level of technology that and techniques that will be developed.
Okay, awesome. Why do you well, also another question, or not another question, but save an answer for why do sometimes perfectly healthy people get ill or they get cancer? Like is there a spiritual side of it where they were meant to as a lesson, or it's just a reminder for them to slow down, or I don't know, just they eat healthy, they exercise?
So there's several reasons why that happens, and depends on the person and their contract as to why they came here, what they wanted to experience in life. But also free will choices. One of the big things people don't realize, we kind of get that emotions and mindset can make us really unhealthy, but we don't fully realize like how devastating consistently a chronic anxiety chronic depression, chronic, let's say, dysmorphias about how we look, how we are, who we think we are, all kinds of disordered thinking, like the side effects that no matter how healthy you are, if you're contradicting that with extraordinarily unhealthy, imbalanced mindset and mental, emotional state, then you might as well be drinking every day. You might as well be taking drugs every day because you're pumping your body full of dangerous chemicals that are not normal to have in that high of concentration. So you can eat healthy all you want, you can exercise, you can not drink, not smoke, not do anything. But if you're like, you could see this a lot. There's a lot of people out there that are super fit that have extremely type A, anxious people, anxious all the freaking time, always going, overachieving, and it's like, okay, so you look great, but you're totally annihilating the inside of your body, causing things like cancerous cells to start forming, causing things like, destructive chemicals to be released to the bloodstream that wear on, I almost said ovaries for some reason, but wearing on the organs and the systems and draining the adrenals and just kind of imbalancing all the things that have to work together well in order for a body to be truly healthy. So that's part of the reason that is such a shock to people, is because society is still not conveyed that. It seems like a luxury still to a lot of people to get therapy. They don't understand yet that your mental state and what your brain is, the chain reaction the thoughts are causing in your body, are just as important as not smoking, eating healthy, whatever. So you can see people, I love when they bring up like, oh, there's this area in Italy where people live till like they're 100, but they're like drinking wine every day. They smoke like chimneys every day, and somehow they're healthy as an ox and they don't have dementia or whatever. And it's like, okay, because they nap, they take care of themselves, they have more balanced culture. They're more about community, love, passion, sleeping, enjoying the pleasure
life and not work.
Yes. And so when people who are health freaks, like, hey man, I used to be a health freak. I try to be. It doesn't always work out, obviously. But people who are really fixated on being health nuts sometimes can come at it from a overachiever standpoint instead of like, I'm going to enjoy life, And so, and I've known people who have told me they've had people they know, that sounded funny, that have been like the healthiest people they knew that died of some crazy like lung disease or lung cancer or some heart attack. They're like, what? How? Oh, if that happened to them, what could happen to me, right? But there's always much more complex factors under the surface that we ignore. So it's all about balancing those things out.
Yeah. But pretty much take care of yourself physically and mentally and spiritually.
Exactly.
Harder said than done.
I know.
Yeah, well, thank you. I think the future for education, healthcare looks pretty awesome. Like kind of futuristic, So
it is. And
yeah.
But there's going to be a lot of crap and a lot of frustration and just toil for a while. Yeah. But it's going to happen eventually.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for chatting.
Oh, he's happy too. He loves doing it. He loves doing these.
Bye. Bye.